Hey everyone, the whole college recommendation process can be like super confusing and it's super mysterious as well, right? So I get asked like a lot of questions like, okay, like what is the recommender gonna have to do? How does the process work and all that stuff, right? So in this video, what I basically did is I went to like the application portal of a university, and then for the recommenders thing, I typed my own name and I typed my own email address so that the university would send me an email stating that I have to recommend myself for college, right? So in this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys how the whole recommendation system works, what questions that the university will ask the recommender and so on, right? So what I've seen is that, based off the feedback from my own recommenders, as well as, what I see in this form, a lot of these questions are common across the countries and universities that you apply to, right? So whatever country or university that you're applying to, you'll see that a lot of the questions that I'm going to be showing you here are going to be very similar to the questions that your recommenders will be asked. Okay, so let's get to it. All right, so now what exactly did I do, right? I need you guys to understand this first. So first thing I did was just start an application with an email ID, right? So I have like 3 email IDs. One is my primary one and then 2 is like, my alternate ones. So I started an application with the second email ID. Then I just, I entered that application in, and then when it came down to the recommendation section, I gave my 3rd email ID, right? And then after, as a recommender. So then they just sent the recommendation request to that 3rd email ID. And then all I had to do was just simply open the email, right? Then I got access to all the questions that they asked the recommender. So what did I learn, right? So I did this for like a couple universities, and I learned 2 things, right? So there's 2 ways that this can go. In the email that the recommender gets, all they have to do is just open that email, click on that link and then submit the letter. Or they may be asked to fill a questionnaire in first and submit the letter, right? So there's only 2 ways that things can play out, right? So now what exactly goes within this questionnaire, okay? And here's the answer. So the first thing, that they asked that I noticed is that they asked for the relationship with the applicant, as in like how long has a recommender known you for? How does a recommender know you? Like were you like a student and they were like a professor, or were you like, were you like an employee and they were like the employer, or like they were your supervisor, they were your team lead, whatever it is. So they'll ask you for your relationship, how long you've known them and all of that. Then they'll ask for your academic quality and intellectual capacity, right? So this is sort of like a percentile-based evaluation. So that means the recommender will evaluate you as in like to be in the top 50% or the top 20% or the top 10% and so on. So the actual percentage, of course, will vary across universities, but that's essentially what they'll ask. They'll ask you, okay, like how does the applicant stand when compared to, the other students, like similarly qualified students. Then we have the English language ability. So they're asking the recommender, okay, like how well can this person speak English? Are they like a really good speaker? Are they like an average speaker? Are they a below average speaker? And so on, okay? Now, how does a recommendation letter itself go, right? So again, the recommender just has to submit a letter, and this is what needs to be inside, right? So in the recommendation letter, the university says that, okay, you have to talk about the recommendees' qualifications for graduate study, as in the students, as in yours, qualifications for graduate study, as in like, are you well equipped? Do you have the skills? Do you have the knowledge? So on. Then the strengths and weaknesses, right? So what happens is, generally recommenders will only write strengths. So some universities will explicitly ask you or ask the recommender to also state weaknesses, right? So the letter is a little bit more rounded, containing both strengths and weaknesses. That's probably going to look a little bit better, more authentic, more realistic. Then of course we have the specific examples of characteristics, right? So universities don't like to receive recommendation letters that are like super generic, that just says that, hey, okay, this person is a good student, they study really well, they're really smart and all that stuff. That's boring. That can be applied to anyone, right? So they want to know like specific examples, like, okay, is the student hardworking? If so, like how do you know that? Like, did they stay extra late nights? Did they, go out of their way to work on their research? How exactly did you know that they were hardworking, right? So specific examples are important. And then bonus point, right? So some universities will also ask, how good are they compared to other students that you've recommended, right? So this may be like other students that the recommender has recommended throughout their entire life, or maybe other students that the recommender has recommended for that particular university. Again, it depends from university to university, right? So this question, sometimes the universities will ask. So then if that's in the recommendation letter, that's even better. And that's pretty much it. So like you guys can go try to do this yourself, right? So all you have to do is make sure that you have like 3 email IDs. Your first email ID is the one that you actually make your own application on. And then the second 2 email IDs are what you give here in step 1 and then step 2, right? So they should be different from your primary email. Now there's nothing wrong with trying it, because all you're doing is, just getting the questions beforehand. So you can tell your recommender like, hey, okay, these are the questions that they're gonna ask you, so that the recommender can be better prepared to recommend you, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing this, so you can definitely go try it yourself. It's just a little bit tedious. That's the only problem with this approach. Now, one thing I want you guys to keep in mind is that the questions and of course, what needs to go inside the recommendations, the prompts given by the university may vary across universities. It won't be exactly the same for all the universities. So just be a little bit careful there. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you feel this video helped you in any way, leave a like. I would really appreciate it. And subscribe to see more graduate program related content. I'll see you later. Bye.